Hello friend, and thank you for taking part in the No-Show Eliminator. I affectionately call this program that way because it has helped me, in fact, eliminate a lot of no-shows for a lot of practices. And I think if you have any issues with broken schedules, you're going to benefit hugely from listening and applying the concept that I'm going to share with you here. My name is Juan Acosta, and I am a natural comfort specialist from hypnodontist.com. That means that I'm a hypnotist by trade, and I was thrown into dentistry as a dental office manager, and then became a patient coordinator, and I have worked in other areas of the practices as a consultant. So what I'd like to share with you comes from personal experience and from fixing certain issues that I now want to help you fix if you are running into the same. So first off, let's get started with the actual handout. You can go to hypnodontist.com/blueprint, and that will take you to a few files. The one that we're going to focus on right now is the Patient Experience Blueprint handout, which is a bunch more pages than I have here. I have the short version just for the video. But on page number 20, you're going to find the No-Show Eliminator, which is a 6-step framework that I've set up for you. And what I'd like to do right now is take you through this framework. So if you'd like to pause the video, get the download, and come right back, welcome back, and let's get the No-Show Eliminator started. What I'd like to do, since we only have a short amount of time, is give you the abbreviated version of this entire course. The truth is that if you look at these 6 steps, like rapport, for example, we could do an entire weekend class on how to build rapport, how to build our relationship and that affinity with your patients that quickly. But we don't have a weekend, we have one video. So I'm going to give you the key item from the rapport section, from the rapport step. Does that make sense? Then we're going to go to the fit, like how do we make sure that they're the right fit? You know, that could also be a longer process, but again, I'm going to give you the key item from there. I'm going to give you the key item from value, schedule, let go, and commit and confirm, which are the 6 steps for the framework. So first of all, let's talk about this thing. Where did this come from? Like why did this end up here in our hands, and why does it mean something to you? Well, my first experience as a dental office manager was with a small emergency clinic. And they had a really great marketing strategy with Google Ads that was really, truly a good strategy. It got tons of calls all day, every day. And I was the one in charge of picking up the calls on the other side, sort of fielding the calls, understanding what the patient wanted and needed, and match them up with the doctor that would meet them at the practice, do the work, and everybody was happy. Well, the truth is that would be great, except when patients don't show up, not everybody is very happy, are they? Because that doctor just came from somewhere else, specifically for this practice. I know your practice works differently, I'm sure, and other practices that I've worked afterwards have worked differently, but the process and the system works exactly the same way. So if you think about this framework as you're building the relationship with your patient, even in that initial phone call, they are going to be coming to you more often than not, okay? So in this dental office manager job, my first few weeks were really, really rough because I didn't understand. Without really knowing dentistry, I jumped into a job that was offered to me, and the doctor said, hey, you don't need to know much about dentistry. What you need to know, I'll teach you, and you need to know about people handling skills, and you have those. So come on, work for me. That was kind of the agreement we had, and I was like, yes, I want to jump in. I want to learn about dentistry. Let's do it. So in my first couple of weeks, I realized that dentistry was very hard, very misunderstood by the public, that even me as a hypnotist, which is how I started, was approaching dental practices, knocking on doors, dropping off my business cards on my book, saying, hey, I'm a new hypnotist in town. I'd like to work with your patients who are grinding their teeth or smoking or are anxious or fearful, whatever. All those hypnotherapy services, that's how I started trying to get connected with practices. And I know that a lot of those people were just being polite. Thank you very much, and taking my information and then putting it right in the trash. Because it's not easy for a practice to throw a wrench in a system that's already working to start sending referrals out to somebody that they don't know, right? You have to build the relationship first. So what I realized was that the people that were calling also had a skewed perception of dentistry that the public has really at large right now. And the relationship between dental practices and patients begins in a sort of adversarial sort of situation, and it's not very useful for the perception of dentistry, and it's not very useful if you don't have good people handling skills, because when it feels adversarial, it's easy to want to get confrontational, and you can't do that. You don't want to do that if you want to bring those patients in, right? So what I did after about a week and a half of really beating my head against the wall going, well, I'm talking to patients and they seem nice and everything seems to be working, they agree to the appointment and then they don't show up. What the heck is going on, right? And it got me to thinking, well, I'm a hypnotist. I'm supposed to be able to work with the subconscious. I'm supposed to be able to influence the thinking of the person. Well, let me do a little bit more thinking. And ta-da! The no-show Eliminator was born. And it was born out of usage. So I began to, first of all, I'm just going to take you through this first 6 steps as I go through the story. I began to, first of all, build more rapport with patients. And building rapport with patients is actually something that is very simple. It can start with you just showing that you care. Now, of course, you probably heard and know about building rapport, like showing a certain affinity to something. Oh, do you like boating? Oh, I like boating too. You know, you have, you golf? I golf too, right? To have that sort of thing to talk about between you. But that's not all rapport is. Rapport in this case, when they're calling you and you are a professional, they don't necessarily want you to be family immediately, even though you might want to build your way to kind of feeling like family. But what they do want is an understanding team, as somebody that's caring on the other side of the line. Okay, so the best tip that I can give you for building rapport in the moment when somebody calls you and says, oh my gosh, I just broke a tooth, which happens, right? Or, oh, my crown fell off. Thinking about that person and putting yourself in the shoes of that person, and just the best rapport builder is empathy. So if somebody calls and says, oh my God, I just broke a tooth, I need to make an appointment, don't just go, all right, let me take a look at the schedule. Okay, we have Thursday or Friday. Don't do that. Build rapport. When the person goes, oh my God, I just broke my tooth and I need to make an appointment, go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Happens all the time though. Let me take a look at the schedule and see what we can find. Simple. It doesn't take much time, but it's just good people handling. It's, like having good bedside manners when you are chairside working with the patient. This is what that would be equivalent to when you are the front office person, the person that's picking up the calls and or setting up confirmation calls and making sure that the patients are showing up. And here's another simple example of building rapport and continuing to build that relationship with your patient. Let's say that it's not that first patient that's just calling in and you're able to connect with them, but rather you are calling to confirm. You're setting a confirmation message and they're not there, so you're actually having to leave it on a voicemail. Well, what about maybe on the first phone call when you set the appointment and they were going through different dates, they said, oh, no Thursday, because Thursday I have a soccer game with the kids at 3:45 and I can't be, my mouth can't be all swollen or whatever. And you remember that, and this is next week that their appointment actually is. And then at the appointment time or the confirmation time, when you call them, instead of just saying, hey, Mary, I'm calling to confirm your appointment tomorrow, blah, 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 you say, hey, Mary, I hope your kid's soccer game was awesome last Tuesday. I'm calling to check in about your appointment, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? So you are, at every conversation, at every step of the process, you are using any interaction time that you have to build rapport with your patients, to continue to improve on that relationship. All right, let's move on to the next step in the framework, which is fit. You like my little drawings? I actually hand drew those myself. I was bored. Finding the fit for the patient. This is something that I had to do very quickly on the phone when they called and said, oh my God, I think I have a toothache, and I had to assess, are they a patient? Are they actually somebody that we can treat with the services, the limited services that we offer? This was because of that particular practice, which was the emergency only clinic. So in order to find whether you are the right fit for that patient and that patient is the right fit for your office, simply means that you have to ask questions and get the conversation started. Well, where does it hurt? How does it hurt? When does it hurt? Right? What are the symptoms, or what is it that you need done? Right? Is it a service that we provide? And you find the fit by asking questions. Do you take the insurance that they have? Do they have the credit application filled out, and has it been approved? Like if you're the emergency clinic, like the specific service that I'm referring to, this one clinic, we used to take only cash or care credit. Basically, we were off network. So we did not have any sort of insurance. And for me, I had to sell the patient on the appointment, and knowing that they had to come and pay immediately or pay with credit, maybe not get approved, or get them to fill out the applications for us. All these things were important. For you, in your practice, just finding out whether they are the right fit for you. Because it is better for your goodwill and for your practice to understand that up front and send them somewhere else if they're not a good fit, than to bring them into your practice and then they end up not being a good fit, and now you've wasted a bunch of time. Okay, so as far as finding the fit, just asking the right questions is the key item here. As far as value is concerned, how do you build value in maybe even an initial phone call? I'll tell you, educating the patient. When you call somewhere and they just treat you like they are the only ones that know, and bam, 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 that take you through the process, and you're like, whoa, what happened? But you're there. Do you feel good about the process, or do you feel better if they involve you and they teach you and you get to understand, and by the time that you are in that destination, you're like, well, I'm here because these things and I understand them, right? You want to be that. You want to build the value so that the patient understands when they get to see a treatment plan that may be extensive for them, that there is some value behind it. Okay, so for you to build value, I will give you some very simple ways to do that. The things that you can do to build value are simply mentioning things that you are good at, that you are different at, that you excel. For example, mentioning that you have a very caring team or doctor, that you have a doctor that people call gentle hands, Dr. Gentle Hands. That's something, it's kind of funny, but I used to joke and say that to patients sometimes, and they get it. They understand, oh, okay, these are people that are in for my comfort. They understand that dentistry is not the most comfortable thing you can do on a Tuesday morning. So sure, if they want to make me more comfortable by saying that doctor's nickname is Dr. Gentle Hands, I'll take it. Does that make sense? We're planting these little seeds to be harvested later on in form, hopefully, of a testimonial. So in order to build value, think about the things that can build value for your practice. You can talk about amenities that you have, like in the patient comfort intake, which you have in the handout downloads. There are a few items that are spa type amenities that patients really appreciate. So things like that you can mention can build value. The idea that you have a very caring team that is like a family, maybe the idea that you love your patients and you treat them like family, maybe the idea that you are there to educate patients and you take them through the process when they're asking you questions, that is not just like blah, 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 very clinical explanation of whatever they asked, but rather a more human connection, what I like to call belly button to belly button communication, where you are just close and sort of understanding in their shoes what it is that they're going through. And if they have a question and they still look confused, instead of ignoring it and moving on to the next thing, you say, all right, let me clarify a little more, or what part of it is not clear. And you are actually building value by demonstrating that you care more and more. Now, the next step on the framework is to schedule. And the key item to scheduling is a process that I like to think of it as funneling. Funneling as in a funnel, where you put a lot of things in the top and only a little bit comes down the bottom. So instead of doing what a lot of people do, and I'm not saying this is you, and if you are doing it, just understand that there's improvement, there's room for improvement. So a lot of times a patient will call and you look at your schedule and they are looking for an appointment and you go, okay, I have, let's see what's open, Thursday at 4. And they go, well, let me see. No, not Thursday at 4. Okay, how about, let's see, next thing I have is Tuesday at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Tuesday. No, I'm out of town Tuesday. All right, how about next Wednesday, a week after that? And that process just takes so freaking long that it wastes everybody's time and it doesn't really involve the person in the right way. So what I like to give you in this framework on the scheduling portion of things is to use never a something or nothing option, rather a something or something option. So always a choice between something and something, and also a funneling process that allows you to look at your schedule without sharing it with them first. So while I was on the phone with the patient and starting to open up my schedule, I would say, so Mary, let me take a look at the schedule here. Would you prefer a morning or afternoon appointment? She would say, afternoon, afternoon, great. And then I would only look at the things that I have in the afternoon. And I would say, great, so let's see, afternoons, I only have one this week. I have Tuesday, or next week I have Thursday, Wednesday, actually Tuesday afternoon, I think I can probably also do that. And the patient now has some options immediately, and you have put them in a funnel. Now they go, oh, let me go with Tuesday, because you asked the initial question. Rather than opening up the schedule and going through the entire process, you asked some question that helped them sort of fill themselves into the funnel. That makes sense? I hope it does. All right. That's about the scheduling part. That's sort of the key item, is give them a choice between something and something, right? Do you prefer morning or afternoon? And that's sort of the key item, is to funnel them into a place with a double bind like that one. All right. The next section is the most key item in this entire process, and I'm going to sort of give it to you together with the next step, and it is to let go and then to commit and confirm. So in the let go step, I guess they are kind of combined, because I actually ask them if their appointment is the right time. We have it set, perfect, and then this is what I do to actually get the yes, the confirmation, and the commitment that I'm looking for. I use a let go and double commitment sort of strategy. This, if you get nothing out of the whole no-show eliminator presentation that I'm giving you, is this. These were the two original main key items of the no-show eliminator. Was a plea to the patient and understanding of, well, I have this schedule to deal with, and I need to make sure that we stay on time, and you have the power, and I need to understand what's going on. So the way that I do it is I would say, Mary, thank you so much. I have you set then for Thursday at 2 p.m. And here's where the part comes, the plea. Hey, listen, if there's anything that would keep you from being here on Thursday, would you please give me a call and let me know as soon as you know, even if it's late. I'm the one that's in charge of keeping the schedule going, and I just need to make sure that we're on time. And I would wait quietly and wait for the response. So I would get first the commitment, yes, Thursday at 2 p.m. is great. And then I would go, thanks, Mary, here's the let go part. If there's anything that would happen that would prevent you from being here, would you please let me know? And that person would, 99% of the time, would say something like, oh, absolutely, I would not leave you hanging. And the truth is that they didn't. Once I set them up in that way, they didn't want to leave me hanging. And if they call me, even with an hour or 15 minutes to spare, I have a short list for the most part, or I can at least prepare and be like, hey, team, we don't have an appointment on the next one, let's do this and that. And we can move some things around, and the doctor's not going to be so mad, the team's not going to be kind of twirling their thumbs, just waiting for nothing to do, right? If you have a short list, or if you have the ability to do that, to manage and to move quickly, it's much better than waiting until after the appointment time has passed. Appointment for 10 a.m. is now 10:15, and you're going, well, I guess they're not showing, and you're calling them, and they simply buried their head in the sand. So here's the motivation. Every time that I speak in front of an audience and I tell them this point of letting their patient go for a minute, just having more of an abundance mindset than a scarcity mindset, knowing that there are plenty of patients. If that patient disrespects you, if that patient doesn't want to show up, let that patient go. It's fine if that patient doesn't show up. If that patient can't show up for some reason and they call and they are apologetic, even if you have $100 fee, they still pay it, but they will come because they are building that relationship with you, is because you have allowed them the freedom and letting them go in this way. Think about what happens emotionally in your patient's mind Okay, just let's say this is a patient that's not very attached to you. They've just come for an exam. Maybe they scheduled their first actual procedure, and you're like, okay, I have them. And then the day comes for their appointment, and something happens at lunch, and they are running late, and you have twisted their arm about the $100 cancellation fee, and you didn't confirm them in this way. You have simply turn on the pressure. You have messaged them 6 or 7 times in the last few days because they didn't respond okay. You're thinking about canceling their appointment. You have been relentless about them and the pressure that you've exerted. So now if something goes wrong an hour before, they're like, oh my God, should I call? I'm not going to call. I'm just going to they told me I have to pay $100. Fine. I either pay the $100 or I'll sprint for the hills, which, a lot of patients do. They just go somewhere else, or they come back and pay you the $100 and they don't care. They disrespected you and your schedule suffered, but they don't really care that much. So when the patient gets to that moment of decision of feeling like, oh, should I call or should I just not go? If you have made them make this commitment to you, they will immediately call you and go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I got busy with lunch and some friends and ran over with a meeting and blah, blah, blah. Then you can simply go, hey, thank you so much for giving me a call. Hey, let's talk in the next few days and we'll schedule your next appointment. And then you can deal with it a little later. And then you can turn around immediately and call your shortlist and get whoever was ready for a cleaning at the moment to actually come in and have that appointment time. And you don't lose the production. Or if they call you an hour before and you can't make it, or 15 minutes before and you can't really make it, hey, everybody, let's go to lunch 15 minutes earlier. That patient that was going to be here is not going to be here. Whatever makes it work for you, just think about how it would change your practice to actually have the patient's cooperation in this way. Okay, so letting go of the patient is not going to let the patient kind of feel like they can run you over. In fact, a lot of times they feel like they can run you over a lot more when you don't let them go. The next step is to commit and confirm, and that is simply what we've been talking about of a double commitment strategy. The first commitment, and these are verbal commitments, okay? If you've studied anything about influence and persuasion, Dr. Robert Cialdini came out with the principles of social influence, and one of them is commitment and consistency, which means that what somebody has committed to doing verbally with other people publicly, they are most likely to remain consistent with that choice, with that commitment, and actually follow through and do what they said that they would. So that's why commit the patient first to their appointment time, yes. And once they say, yes, Thursday at 2 is great. Thanks, Mary. I got you set for Thursday at 2. Hey, listen, if there's anything that would keep you from being here Thursday at 2, would you please give me a call as soon as you know and let me know? It's my job to make sure that we stay on schedule. And I just want to make sure I'm doing my job. And you can be vulnerable in that time a little bit with the patient. You can use your words. You don't have to use my words, okay? This is not special. This is simple human relationships. And the idea that we're giving the patient that feeling, that bit of power, that little bit of guilt, if you will, it's a slight manipulation of their guilt, right? To feel them committed to calling you if something happens, which is important because you want them to feel a little guilt, right? You want them to be motivated in that way. So first commitment is, yes, I'll make it there at 2. Second commitment is, if you don't make it, will you call me? And they have to say verbally, yes, absolutely. Oh yeah, I wouldn't leave you hanging. Whatever they say, take it and understand that that's really what they mean. All right, my friend, that is the no-show eliminator. Let me explain to you a couple of things that you downloaded if you went for the handout on the Hypnodontist website. The handout, of course, has a bunch of pages with other frameworks that I'm taking you through in videos like this one in this kind of abbreviated form. All these are available as sort of lunch and learn style, and they're available in a sort of workshop format with your practice in a live and online environment. The next thing that you will find in that list of files that came with your handout is the Dental Practice Optimization Assessment form, which I have a video for. The Patient Comfort Intake, which I also have a video for. There's also the Hypnotic Technique Outlines, which is 2 techniques that are NLP based, Neuro-Linguistic Programming based, that are easy for you to learn even though you're not a practitioner necessarily. that can help your patients who are anxious or fearful or having a different state than you want them to have. And you can help them change state just like that. So a patient that comes in, oh, I'm freaked out about needles. You can help them actually have treatment by taking them through a 5 to 7 minute exercise. So if you notice that the patient is that nervous, it would be important for you to invest those 5 to 7 minutes in order to help them feel better. And if you are going to invest those 5 to 7 minutes, it's important for you to invest understanding how to do it and the training. So the technique outlines are there for you to read if you want to learn. Of course, there are videos about those as well. And the final thing that you'll find in the handout list of files is a prescription form for hypnosis. So any hypnotherapy services that can serve your practice, like patients who are grinding and you're giving them a bite guard, instead of just treating the symptom with the bite guard, you could give them the bite guard for the symptom and say, hey, and here's a prescription form in case you want to see a hypnotist and actually deal with the underlying issue, which is generally internal conflicts and stress. A patient who's smoking, you could give them that referral form. So the prescription form, you will see the array of services that I offer and that many hypnotists offer. If you'd like to work with somebody that is local, I can work with somebody virtually or in person as well. All right, my friend, that has been the no-show eliminator. I would love for you to think about this one thing. What if in the next few days, in the next few weeks, in the next month or 2 months, you would start to build rapport, understand the patient and fit relationship with your practice, be able to demonstrate and build value about your practice, about talking about the difference between you and other dentists, for example. You are able to make your schedule so smooth because you treat the patients to that sort of double bind strategy between something and something. And you are able to funnel them into the right schedule for them that they have agreed to. Because what happens is you involve them so much that they are more committed to the process than if you just say, how about Thursday at 4? And they go, yeah, that's fine. Or no, that's not fine. That's just not involved enough. Think about that. You're able to let them go because you realize, you know what? Yes, we have that $100 cancellation fee, but we don't need to twist their arm all the time. We just need to do it right 1 or 2 times. And you do it this way. And then you're able to understand that double commitment strategy. You get them to commit to being there, and then after letting go, you get them to commit to letting you know if they can't make it. Imagine what would happen if those 10 no-shows that are happening in that month are gone. Or imagine if 8 of them are gone, half of them are gone. Imagine what that would do to your production and to your peace of mind to have that sort of smoother scheduling situation. Would that be good for your practice? I hope it would. So if you'd like to sort of start with a crash course on NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming for dental professionals, get my book. You can start with it. It's on Amazon. The name is Hypnodontics, Ethical Influence, Language for Dental Professionals. I called it that because this is learning about influence and persuasion, but it is ethical because we're doing it for the patient's best interest. Every time that we influence them to do something, we should think, as dentistry professionals, we should think about their best interests and offering that which is in their best interest. Okay? So if you'd like to start with a sort of nice, easy read crash course with all these little verbal skills diluted in an easy format, then my book Hypnodontics on Amazon is the way to go. And if you'd like any implementation help with your team, please contact me. Send me your information directly by email, juan@hypnodontist.com, or reach out at my website, hypnodontist.com, and I look forward to working with you at some point. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.